Hello, this is Rachel from the Grace Company. After you get your Quilt Motion back from repair, here's how to put it back onto your frame.
If your machine is on your carriage, go ahead and take it off. If your encoder is attached to the side of your machine, make sure you don't hurt it as you're putting it down. This may be easier if you have someone to help you if you're not able to lift it up yourself. Go ahead and open up the box that your Quilt Motion is in. Load your Quilt Motion onto the carriage. The wheel should be in front, while the power should be in back. When packing up your Quilt Motion, you should have removed some screws that kept the Quilt Motion attached to the carriage. Go ahead and get out those screws and screw it back into the carriage. If it helps, you can turn the carriage on its side to better put in those screws. Now that you have the Quilt Motion attached to the carriage, go ahead and install the long belt. Be sure to keep the flat side of the belt against the gray wheel. Push it through and then circle it around the wheel on the other side. If you do this correctly, it will emerge on the opposite side on that opposite gray wheel with the flat side against it. Make sure your belt is on the opposite side of the carriage. If your carriage is not on fully, take some time to correct that so the wheels are riding nicely on the track. Now put the machine on the carriage. It's pretty heavy, so if you need help, go ahead and ask someone to help you put it on. Be sure to watch out for the encoders as you do this. Now take your long belt and put it through the tensioner at the end of the frame. Make sure that it's tight and bouncy when you're done. Now install the short belt. This is like the long belt, but just in the opposite direction. Take the flat side of the short belt and run it along the first gray wheel. Push it through to the other side and then wrap it around the other side and up into the hole again. That will have it coming out on the opposite side of the divide and against the gray wheel. Insert the short belt into the tensioner and tighten it just like you did the long belt. Now place your take-up rail through the throat of the machine. Lock it in place with ratchets. Before you're done, be sure to check your encoders to make sure they're installed correctly. If they're not riding on the track, move them so they are, and then make sure the lock collar is installed in a 12 o'clock position. Just to be sure, take out the cables and put them back in so that you know that connection is secure. Now put the cables back in the Quilt Motion. Put your USB-B port, which looks like a box, into the port closest to the back. Then put your sewing cable, which varies on the type of machine you have, into the port closest to the front. Now take the cable that connected to the back of the Quilt Motion and connect the other end back into the tablet. If you have any further questions about how to install your Quilt Motion, call Grace Company.